Don't you cry for me.
The Reckless Ray. The Reckless Power.
Breaking news.
Hello, Sunshine State. The light shines just a little bit brighter here today as we prepare to officially embark on a journey that will finally put this country back on the right footing. My friend, the governor, Mr. Ronald DeSantis, has officially thrown his hat into the ring to be the future president of these United States. Yes, exactly. That's right. Soon it won't just be Disney and Sesame Street in the woke crosshairs. It's gonna be a culture war of epic proportion as we set our sights for taking this crusade at taking down woke a lot higher. I'm looking at you, Apple. I'm looking at you, Starbucks, and your hippie coffee, 3 flavored beans, Guatemalan this and Bolivian that, organic shit. I was born a Folgers man, and by God, I'll die a Folgers man. Blackened with a shot of brandy to start the day, just how my pops did it and his pops did it before him. Let's not forget this whole American soccer thing. Let's leave the kicking of a ball to the South Americans and Europeans. For God's sake, play a real sport.
Okay, I kind of get Apple and Starbucks, but what does American soccer have to do with woke?
So naive, Auggie, so naive.
Pushing the logic of that statement aside, am I hearing you correctly that you're actually siding with DeSantis over your idol, Trump?
Don't be an idiot, Auggie. You'll notice I chose my words very carefully here. With any luck, Ronald DeSantis will indeed be the future president of the United States. I didn't say next.
So you're on Team Trump then?
Why are you doing this, Auggie? Spoiling a perfectly upbeat news cycle of DeSantis throwing himself into history with the likes of some of our most admired heroes. Governor Wallace, Joseph Stalin, Senator McCarthy. Fine folks who built their political careers on the nuts and bolts of politics, hate, and fear. We're here alive to see the makings of a star being formed, and you're asking about whose team I'm on. I'm on the f***ing winning team, Auggie.
Okay, you're still not answering the question here. In a head-to-head, one-on-one matchup, who are you with, Trump or DeSantis? But I'm guessing you're not going to because this is classic Fox News playbook. Toe the line between candidates and back the winner.
I back America, Auggie. I think we all do.
I don't even know what that means.
Just great, Auggie. A glorious moment like this, and you managed to ruin it with your pointless questions and insinuations.
I'm not sure asking a political pundit, such as you call yourself, who they prefer in the GOP primary is a pointless question. You know, saying as we are a quote-unquote political podcast, I'm guessing our loyal listeners would actually like to know your thoughts. Or maybe you don't have any real thoughts.
Whoa, did I just hear a little backbone from Auggie? Lordy, look who's finally grown a sack. It's a miracle.
If you aren't going to answer the question, can we at least talk about the state of the race right now then?
The state of what race? There's nothing happening right now.
Thought it was interesting Tim Scott jumped in. Hearing talk that maybe Chris Christie's next, and up in the Northeast I'm hearing some rumors that Sununu from New Hampshire might actually jump in the race. I think that
Tim
he could
Scott
really...
being the next president is right up there with a Kardashian winning an Oscar. It ain't gonna happen. And that's not a knock on either. Both serve their purpose of catering to a very specific market appeal. But let's be realistic here. There's 2 dogs in this fight, and Tim Scott is a black moderate in the GOP. I mean, come on, man. Bring in the black voting moderates and get back in your lane. This is a 2-horse race. This is a battle between 2 real warriors. There's actually something very primal about it. 2 gladiators of our times battling it out.
Okay, so you don't want to talk about the other candidates or acknowledge them, but you also don't want to discuss the actual race between these 2 quote-unquote gladiators, as you call them?
No, I don't, Auggie. And I'll tell you why, because it doesn't matter. Sure, there'll be some major dick swinging over the next 8 months, and we'll cheer and watch with glee, but in the end, it doesn't matter who wins. It's like watching Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt Sr., God rest his soul, battle it out to the wire. Just enjoy the race, hope for some crashes along the way, and the only thing that matters is that little bitch, Russ Wheeler, doesn't win.
Russ Wheeler was a fictional character in the movie Days of Thunder, Ray. You're getting your reality and make-believe confused again?
Dick swinging, Auggie. Dick swinging.
Kelly would not have approved of that type of language.
There it is. Still pissing and moaning over Kelly leaving. Get over it. She's gone. Deal with it. You know what? This is a good time to circle back to your upcoming enrollment in Ray's foolproof life enrichment program, Winnerism. You've had 2 weeks to complete the first round of questionnaires and paperwork, so why don't we take a look at how that's coming along?
I don't think our listeners are very eager to hear about that. Perhaps, though, we should, try to again focus on the news and what's happening in the world news cycle right now.
There's nothing happening in the world right now, Auggie. And frankly, I know I speak for all of us here. There is nothing in the news cycle other than the DeSantis presidential bid worth mentioning. Nothing.
Really? You don't feel there's anything else worth addressing? Like maybe the debt ceiling crisis, the war in Ukraine, Trump under growing concern of federal indictment. Shall we continue the list?
First of all, the debt ceiling garbage is nothing more than a liberal scare tactic by the left, and honestly, it's boring. It is so boring. Will they pay? Will they default? Who are we even f***ing paying? We're the United States, for Christ's sake. It's like saying the mob owes someone money. You really think they're gonna ask for it?
That is a stunningly inaccurate picture of what the debt ceiling is, even by your standards.
Boring. Unbelievably boring. And the war in Ukraine? I'm not even sure I understand what you're referencing there. What was the other stupid thing you said?
Trump, legal jeopardy, indictment.
I'll tell you what, when Trump is indicted, you can bet your lack of an ass that will cover it because it's fundraising goldmine for him and this show. Nothing rallies the troops like indicting an old rich white guy. So there, we covered your news stories.
I have to ask, where do you get your news from?
Facebook. Social media, like the rest of America. They tell me everything I need to know. Everything I'm feeling the moment I wake up. It's just there in my feed. There's no pointless reading, no fact-checking required. It's just there, telling me what I need to know for the day. And unfortunately, at this moment, my feed is pretty boring. And being of high journalistic standards, I didn't think most of the news out there was important enough to mention here today.
And so we may all peel back a layer of the complex, deeper workings of this finely tuned, well-informed program. What was in your feed today?
I'll tell you not much. Some rumblings about Mike Lindell being sued again. I can't understand for the life of me why the left just won't leave that poor man alone. I mean, my God. More proof aliens are indeed living on the dark side of the moon, which I think everyone was already aware of. From there, it was mostly some everyday things that I like to follow. Binksy, the piano-playing cat, learned a Beethoven number. It's one talented cat. Buzz Aldrin is hitting a fine piece of ass. Good for Buzz. And I understand Al Pacino sired another child. Just goes to show you what those little blue bombers can do for the male penis. And finally, I took something called a Friends quiz. Turns out, I'm a Monica. Whatever the hell that means.
And this is where you get your day's news from. And then disseminate that information to all your disciples across Florida.
What the hell did I just tell you? Yes! Every morning, I pull up the feed and do a thorough check of what's happening. I take notes of the important things and then start writing the show.
Based on your Facebook feed.
Are you not listening? Why do you keep asking these things? And for the second time, there is no mention of this so-called war in Ukraine you speak of. You know, honestly, Auggie, sometimes I think you just make things up to sound important. But then again, I'm sure I'm not following the Latin American news cycle like you are. Where the hell do you get your news from? Telemundo?
Wow. Wow. That is a keen grasp of the worldview you have there.
All right, it's official. You've wasted everyone's time on this needless discussion. So let's get back to the paperwork to ask you to fill out for the Winnerism program. I'm looking at it here, Auggie, and it is lacking in both input and imagination.
So our listeners are aware of the situation here. Ray has insisted I take part in his self-help program, which he refers to as Winnerism. Although we haven't officially begun the program, he's been sending me daily paperwork to fill out consisting of, I guess he refers to this as the Winnerism literature. Near as I can tell, it's some type of quasi-religious cult fictional program loosely based on principles of Scientology, authoritarianism, and a healthy amount of pretty much delusion. But I will say he has some fascinating theories on AI and what will become of the robot apocalypse. And if you're wondering why I've agreed to enter into this insanity, well, pushing aside my morbid curiosity to see how Ray actually functions on a daily basis, is somehow not part of my contract, which it seems to be updated at Ray's discretion. Thank you once again. 5 years of Harvard classic literature and a communications degree. Here I sit in a garage in Tampa with almost $200,000 in debt, wondering why I get out of bed each morning. That said, I am now a proud pupil of Winnerism. Yet another high point in my life.
Auggie, this paperwork is disastrous. Most of this isn't signed. There's very few answers being given, and the nightly journal I asked you to participate in is highly lacking. How can I track your progress in the program if you're not going to take the time to properly fill out these forms? You know, do you even want to get better, Auggie? Because it feels like you're not all in, and I need you to be all in. I mean, none of these questions are answered. First sexual experience, blank. How many times a day on average do you masturbate? Blank. Are you a boobs or leg man? Blank. That's a simple question. What the hell, Auggie?
Yeah, I'm not going to be responding to most of those.
Well, why the hell not?
For starters, the contract is riddled with the term indentured servant throughout, so pretty sure I'm not going to be signing that. There was also the repeated mentioning of electrodes attached to my, what did you call giblets? Yeah, that's right. Again, not going to be agreeing to that.
If you're not going to cross the I's and dot the T's, I can live with that, I guess, but the journal entries need to show more heart. I feel good when you wrote sleeping. What the is that? You can't feel in your sleep, Auggie. Didn't Harvard teach you anything? I need you to take this much more seriously.
I guess you'll have to forgive me if I'm a bit skeptical of listening to advice from a guy who, let's face it, by all accounts, has a lot of his own issues.
Me? Are you talking about me, Auggie? I have issues? Like what?
Okay, let's see. If you wanted to go down that road, we'll start with the rampant drug addiction.
That was all in the past. Ray is all clean from the downers these days. I live fully in the now on the stimulant side of the ride. And I'll tell you, Auggie, so many wasted years on the downers when I could have been feeling this pulsing high at all times. Heart throbbing, profuse sweating, like I'm jumping on an airplane at all times. It's exhilarating. F***ing jacked.
Yeah, you are a picture of health, regular poster child for the CDC.
Never mind all that. We're starting the process and we're going to do it all in the open for the whole world to see. Now, since you mentioned Scientology, like I'd associate myself with anything Tom Cruise does, I'll have you know Winnerism takes place in the open for the whole world to see. That's why we'll be miking you up and allowing our listeners to fully immerse themselves to see your transformation.
I never agreed to that.
Check the contract, Auggie. Now, before we officially begin the program, any last words to the listeners to commemorate this momentous occasion?
Nope, but I have completed a will and left some legal instructions on my kitchen table for anyone that's listening and cares. I think that I should document that now before this inevitable disaster.
You know, it hurts when you say things like that, Auggie. It does. It's like you don't think I'm doing this for you. And questioning my issues on air?
Since I'm not sure what will happen next, I love you, Mom and Dad. As for Ray's issues, I might as well submit this now, as I'm sure it will end up being Exhibit A in the impending trial following all of this. If you recall, a few weeks ago, Ray and I took a little road trip down to Clarksville, Indiana to see the Kentucky Derby, or somewhere in the vicinity of the Kentucky Derby. We stayed at a red carpet inn. Ray was blackout drunk by the third race, and this is the phone call I received from him later in the evening. Oh, and by the way, the phone call came from Tupelo, Mississippi.
Auggie, I need you to pick up the phone right now. We got ourselves a code red. I need you to wire me a lot of money. These people do not mess around, and they are gonna break my f***ing legs. This is not a joke, Auggie. Now, I don't know if they're capable of murder, but we had a clown with us tonight, Auggie. I don't know where he went. He's gone.
No, don't you cry for me.
The Reckless Ray, the Reckless Power Hour.
With my banjo on my knee.
Well, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but I have completed my first weekend with Ray and his program, Winnerism, and I live to tell about it. We bring you some of those excerpts as we get into the program here, but first of all,
Say the thing, Auggie. Say it.
I know. Out of what I can only imagine was a typical day in the life for Ray's legal team, the lawyers here at the Power Hour insisted I make a few statements on air about my participation in the program of Winnerism. In return, they said I could host today's show, provided I add some additional disclaimers and waivers about my time spent with Ray.
Just read the damn disclaimer, Auggie.
The disclaimer reads as follows. I understand that the program known as Winnerism is not affiliated in any shape or form with the Winston Corporation, and I hereby waive all rights should anything happen to me mentally, physically, or otherwise while spending time with the political pundit known as Reckless Ray. I understand that it is not part of my contract to spend time with Ray off the air, and any time spent in his company is done so at my sole and willful discretion. I hereby relinquish the Winston Corporation, any and all affiliates thereof, of any wrongdoing in the event of my harm. I should mention that the lawyers provided me with this on Friday evening after Ray had left for the night, vowing to appear sometime over the weekend to start the program.
Just read the disclaimer, Auggie.
Further, I understand that Winnerism is not a real self-help program, religion, psychology, or otherwise. Any time spent with Reckless Ray outside of the program is done with future notice of the peril it presents.
All right, you read the line. Let's wrap this segment up. I don't think we need to keep dragging this out.
I do believe you were also required to say something.
Do I really have to say this?
The lawyers seem to be nodding in the affirmative.
I do not and cannot willfully control the individual known as Augustus St. Clair, either through threatening his person or contractual standing through his affiliation with the Reckless Ray Power Hour and Winston Corporation. Can we just get on with the show?
Again, for context, this is the disclaimer I was met with around 9 p.m. on Friday evening. No other explanation other than I was told to sign this for my own benefit. Still not exactly sure how this is for my own benefit, but in the end, I'm here, alive, and able to share it with you. So I suppose that's a win. No pun intended. I did spend the weekend with Ray in what I can only describe as a surreal mix of awe and horror, leaving me again questioning my life choices I've made to bring me to this point. But I suppose, where would we all be in life without a little adventure? At any rate, as promised, we will be playing some clips from the weekend. I do have to warn listeners up front, some of this gets pretty graphic and disturbing. Perhaps more remarkable is the fact that Ray has somehow managed to live his life in this way. There's sadly nothing embellished or edited in what you're about to hear. I've cut out some of the more graphic sequences out of respect for religion in general, but other than that, what you see is pure, unedited, unfiltered, everyday Ray. I guess other than that, any thoughts, Ray? You sure you want to air this? Maybe save yourself the humiliation?
Humiliation? There's nothing in these tapes I would ever be ashamed of. And if you think I'd give up a free ad space for my self-help program, you got another thing coming.
Okay, asked and answered. Given the nature of some of the things that took place, I will be narrating as we play the clips and try and help the listeners fully appreciate the experience and context of the events that transpired. Let's begin. Saturday morning, around 4 a.m., I'm guessing.
It's 3:42 a.m. and the cat is in. Augie's home is woefully underprepared for a robot apocalypse, or any average intruder for that matter. No spotlights, sirens, alarms. Very disappointing, very, very disappointing. I was expecting much more, allowing me to show off my ninja-like abilities. Ah! Oh, my left nut.
Oh my god, Ray, is that you? Guess I'll take this to mean this is when the program begins.
You're gonna need to help me up, Auggie.
I thought we had cut this part, but apparently Ray put it back in. Ray, what are you doing? It's 4 in the morning. I understand this is pretty typical for you on the weekends, but I like to do this little thing called sleep. What are you even looking for?
Consider this step 1, and an intervention of sorts. We need to learn about you, Auggie, and then we need to purge the home.
Pretty sure all you're gonna find in there are my polos, color coordinated of course, and that dry fit collection I've been trying to work my way into.
Oh, what do we have here? HD Feisen jackpot. Just as I suspected, the skin bin.
Come on, Ray, get out of there. Just move out of the bedroom.
My God, Auggie, it's a lot of German industrial porn here. What is all this? Some type of weird European kink or what? One after another. European Queens, Das Boot, Eichgratenbad. The hell is all this stuff? Ah, Boner Jams 06, finally. A little American-made action. Still remember putting that comp together for you.
Yet another fine moment on the air for me here at the Power Hour. What are you doing now, Ray?
I'm gonna take a couple of these lighter European flicks you have here, as there's no place for this tasteful softcore stuff in a proper skin bin. Barring that, I'm actually pretty impressed. A lot of girl-on-girl stuff here, Auggie. I don't think I've ever been prouder. Just a little male curiosity and some TNA, just the way God intended. think it's safe to say this room is clean.
To set the mood for the next sequence, not long after Ray helped himself to a few belts of Irish whiskey and popped in Boner Jams 06 for a while, he proceeded to hand me a pair of chopsticks and took me into the screen porch where I was instructed to catch a fly with said chopsticks.
Again, damn it! Again! Balance is everything. If you can't balance your life, you have nothing.
Okay. First of all, though, I can't help but point out you're teetering back and forth on your own feet. Second of all, there's no fucking bugs out here to catch. Also, I gotta say, this feels an awful lot like the scene from Karate Kid, which you have repeatedly told me you've never seen.
I am culturally aware, Auggie, though I will maintain, if that is in fact a scene from the movie, the idea was likely lifted from my own personal life story.
Yeah, I'm sure. You and Mr. Miyagi may be the two most opposite human beings on the planet.
Damn it, Auggie, catch the fly!
What fly? There aren't any damn flies. I'm standing in a screened-in porch. It can't be done.
And that is why you fail. Now do it again while I sing motivational music.
Couldn't we just play the actual music?
How many times do I have to tell you this? Actual music costs actual money. Now catch the fly. Here. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Hey-ya! Those kids were fast as lightning.
Okay, I think we can cut a bit of Ray's Carl Douglas rendition. Though I will give credit where credit's due. For a bigger guy with a lot of midsection bulk, Ray was able to get his foot remarkably high during those karate kicks. That being said, moving along and following our little Karate Kid remake, which ended with Ray demanding that we order in and get some takeout pork rolls, Ray then had me scan the yellow pages. Can you tell me why again, Ray, I'm looking through the yellow pages? And how is this relevant when this is a copy from 1992, other than the fact that you were on the cover?
You don't see overalls like that anymore. Or a finely groomed mullet.
Yeah, it's something. So what exactly am I looking for here?
Glass guy, horse guy, money guy. You're gonna need to procure each one of these things today. Anyone worth anything in life has someone they can call their glass guy, their horse guy, and their money guy. We need to find yours.
So you essentially mean your bookie.
Yes, Del Monte may serve multiple functions, but that doesn't make his insights into each of those areas any less valuable.
I'm going to go ahead and take some liberty and skip over the next few minutes of tape as Ray drifted off for a while. When he did come to, he hopped into his El Camino and raced off to what I was later told was his Saturday morning Well Association meeting.
God damn it, Auggie, I need a tie. What do you have here? Must have something.
Why on earth do you need a tie, Ray? It's Saturday morning, and I'm not going anywhere with you. The last couple hours have been interesting, but I think it's time we wrap this up.
Not on your life, Auggie. The course is full immersion, and you're gonna get the bang for your buck.
I'm not paying for any of this.
It's being deducted from your paycheck. However, I'm running late for the Well Association meeting.
What the hell is a Well Association meeting?
Jesus Christ! I thought Ivy League grads were supposed to be smart. What does it sound like? I'm the president of the Well Association for Hillsborough County. Technically the townships only, but it's a big gig.
You're the president of a well association? Can I ask why?
People need water, Auggie. They need to build and maintain wells to get that water. I oversee and take a small profit for my time.
So you oversee people's water supply and get paid for this?
Yep.
And how does one become president of the well association?
Elected or appointment. I was elected in 2002. Told everyone after 9/11 the Arabs were out for our water. And they voted me in. It's a sweet gig. Do nothing job, really.
Yeah, it's a hell of a system the rural communities have for their leadership posts. Following Saturday morning's Well Association meeting, which Ray ran surprisingly official, Robert's rules and everything, the next stop was off to Burger King, where Ray had breakfast with a number of, let's just call them, old-timers. I was given to understand they used to eat at McDonald's, but apparently something happened with the, and these are their words, not mine, the Jews and the gays. We're not going to air any of that conversation, as the whole thing was pretty outrageous and controversial and nonsensical, frankly. Suffice it to say, much of the conversation revolved around, and again, these are their words, not mine, she's running track and field events. I will point out the irony in Ray always calling me pessimistic, as this group seemed to complain about pretty much everything was to complain about. Coffee wasn't hot enough, hash browns used to be much bigger, $4 to rent a movie, and I'm not sure in which decade a quart of petrol was a 3 straw pennies and a nickel, but anyways, let's keep the story rolling. The next stop of the day was rather interesting. We're not going to air it out of respect for privacy and at Ray's request, but it turns out Ray participates in the Big Brother program. And I have to say it was somewhat mind-boggling. The children he mentors really seem to look up to him, and dare I say, it was a side of Ray that I've never seen before, or I even knew existed.
Wrap up the sappy bitch talk here. Let's get on with the day.
So after we did our work with the Big Brother program, we made a quick stop at the local post office. Ray, as it turns out, needed to return a Amazon package. It did not go well.
Yep, I'd like to send this back. Here's the code thing.
Do you have a box?
What are you talking about? It's right here. Ship it back.
Sir, that's a piece of Tupperware.
Yeah? So? What's your point?
I can't mail something back in Tupperware.
Well, why the hell not? It's a box, isn't it? It's closed.
Ray, you can't mail something in Tupperware. Just buy a box already.
I have a box already. What the hell do you call this thing? Put a fucking label on it, wrap it up in tape, and send it out the door.
You're gonna need to buy a box, sir.
Fucking government. I'm here trying to be paper friendly, save some trees, and now you tell me I can't mail something out in a piece of Tupperware. Why? Where does it say that in the fucking Constitution? Goddamn hippies, bitching about garbage and one-time plastics. Well, here's your fucking solution. Start shipping things in reusable Tupperware.
That's actually an intriguing thought.
Please don't encourage him. Damn it, Ray, now the manager's coming over. Excuse me, what's the holdup here, guys?
This guy's trying to mail something in Tupperware, won't buy a box.
I'm sorry, sir. You can't mail something in Tupperware. And I'm going to cut the audio there, as I'm sure most of Tampa already caught the rest of that scene unfolding on the 5 o'clock news Saturday. Also, the audio is considered state evidence at this point. Which then brings us to around 4 p.m. on Saturday. This was a time labeled as quote-unquote creative free space. From what I could gather, each day from 4 to 7 p.m., Ray gives himself a 3-hour window of free time to explore various hobbies, money-making schemes, and of course, cut his midday shakes with a few belts from the bottle. I was told that I too would have free time during this period for my own pursuits. My request to nap was denied. I asked if we could eat dinner, but then was promptly told that dinner before 7 p.m. is for peasants, and twilight time was for cocktails and high social activity, whatever that might be. Fortunately, Ray drank whiskey and fell asleep in a lawn chair, so I snuck a hot pocket.
Would you quit telling them what happened and let the people hear for themselves?
For those who are still with us, somehow, the remainder of Saturday night consisted of what Ray referred to as the audit process. Mostly, Ray interwove movie cliches, fiction, and a fair amount of delusion into a 2-hour pep talk on life. I think we have a few slices from that special talk.
A lot of people ask me how I do it, Auggie. How I make it look so easy.
I'm not sure I've ever heard anyone ask you that, but
Lots
go
of
on.
people, lots of people. You know what I tell them? I tell them funky, cold Medina. That's how I get it done.
Funky Cold Medina, like the Tone Loc song.
I don't know who that is, but it's a drink, Auggie. And with it, you become godlike.
It's a song, Ray, Funky Cold Medina by Tone Loc, about a drink. And I find it very hard to believe you're not aware of this or any of the cultural flashpoints you've been putting me through today. In fact, many of the things we've done today have been pulled strictly from 80s and 90s pop culture.
God damn it, Auggie, I don't know anything about this hip-hopster's ton freak you speak of. Now, that said, have I ever told you how I got the nickname Wild Thing?
Oh, come on. From there, Ray talked a lot about the hip-hop scene of early 90s LA, which was actually pretty fascinating. I'm not entirely sure where Ray has gathered his knowledge of this hip-hop world, but he does seem to have a very accurate and pretty legit account of that time and place in history.
Keep it moving, Auggie.
I actually think this might be a pretty good place to wrap up the segment this week, Ray. Much as the day itself, this has been a lot for listeners to take in.
For the record, the fact I was not allowed to mail Tupperware is proof we live in a fascist society.
You know, I don't think you or those old-timers at Burger King really know what that word means. I think you just repeat it a lot because you hear it on Fox News.
But beyond that, at least play the people the Sunday morning spiritual.
You know what? I think that is a good idea. I think we will end the show on that token. I will say Ray's lack of cultural sensitivity is beyond what I thought was quite frankly possible, but as your ears were about to hear, I spent a very eventful Sunday morning getting to know more about Ray and his involvement. Well, let me change that. Not involvement, but his very active role as a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. So for now, this is Auggie St. Clair signing off. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next time.
Woo! And I said, do you believe, Brother Ray? Do you believe in the Lord Almighty? Oh, sing it to the heaven, Ray! Do you believe?
Reverend Frankie, I fucking believe! Hallowed be the name, thy kingdom come.